Hello and welcome to this library session on evidence-based practice, which sets the stage for understanding the context of future modules, which will provide instruction on actively searching the literature. Keep in mind that I am scratching the surface of many concepts which you will cover in much greater depth with your course instructor throughout the semester. This video establishes a common ground between us and a foundation for approaching the databases with your clinical questions. Let's begin by talking about what is evidence-based practice. I would describe EBP as a clinical decision-making model whereby the practitioner uses their expertise they've gained in practice, their direct observation and knowledge of a patient or problem, and their critical evaluation of the best research evidence available to make a decision for optimized care that is in line with the patient's wishes and values. Those three critical elements, the clinician's expertise, the best research evidence, and the patient's wishes and values, must be considered cohesively to achieve the best outcome for a particular circumstance. My primary focus is providing the tools to find the best research evidence. What was best practice several years ago may not still be true. However, keeping up on everything that is published is impractical, if not impossible. EBP is a very pragmatic way of keeping your practice current as you focus on an information need that addresses a focused question to meet the needs of a particular patient or problem. How wonderfully efficient is that? When I was first introduced to the EBP concept, it reminded me of a funny story I once read by newspaper columnist Irma Bombeck. She wrote about family life in the late 20th century. The story goes, a young woman was learning how to cook and asked her mother how she made her pot roast. The mother shares the recipe, which begins with cutting 2 inches off the end of the roast. The daughter inquires, "Why?" And the mother reflects and says, "That's how Grandma always did it." So they call Grandma and they ask her, "Why do you cut 2 inches off the end of the roast?" And she replies, "Because my roasting pan is too small." I thought this was really cute, and it reminds me that at work we sometimes do things because they've always been done that way. EBP challenges us to question ourselves and those around us to ask, why are we doing things this way? So when I talk about the best research evidence found in the literature, I'm referring to research studies found in published articles of peer-reviewed journals. The peer review process is an editing process of scholarly and academic journals that differs from other types of publications in that experts in the field of study review the articles before they are published. They vet the soundness of the methodology used and comment as to whether the article adds value to that particular field of study. If they find issues, they share them with the publication editor, who may decide to send it back to the authors for revision. Then the process begins again. The peer review process provides a certain type of vetting that makes it a reliable resource. However, it is still up to the EBP practitioner to appraise the study. By appraise, I mean to verify the validity of the research methods used for the study so that we can determine if the results are reliable. Meaning, if we did the study more than once, would we get the same results? Even if a study is solidly reliable and statistically significant, meaning that the results of the study were not just due to chance, we have to determine if the treatment or intervention is clinically significant. To be clinically significant, a practitioner must evaluate if the effect is great enough to consider with their patient. This appraisal process is facilitated by the use of critical appraisal worksheets to help you make your determination. Appraisal worksheets prompt and guide you through a series of questions and calculations. Don't worry, you don't have to be a statistician to do this. And at the end of your coursework, you'll be confident in this step. Pictured in the slides are several sources of critical appraisal worksheets, one for every type of study. Part of the EBP process is about finding the evidence and considering all of the evidence, not just attending to a study with the results you hope to find. There will be times you won't find an RCT to support the position you hope to take. The evidence is what it is. The evidence itself is not prescriptive. It is not to be applied without the consideration of the other two EBP elements. Evidence may suggest an optimal treatment or solution that is cost prohibitive or counter to the patient's convictions or an institution's policy. EBP is about obtaining the best outcome when all three EBP elements are considered, not about applying research in isolation. So, summarizing all of the above into the 5 steps of EBP. First, ask a focused patient or problem-centric clinical question. Second, acquire the evidence by searching the literature. 3. Appraise the evidence for validity, reliability, and applicability. 4. Apply. Implement your decision after considering all of the EBP elements. And 5. Assess the outcome. Was it effective? Do you need to consider another option? That wraps up this module. If you have any questions, please reach out and contact me.